Hi guys, welcome to today's video. This is kind of like a product review video. When the Western Desert campaign came out, they announced it at a time when I was doing some more research for some of the Polish units in exile. And I had stumbled across and had been researching the Carpathian Independent Brigade. That brigade was a Polish brigade that had been formed in Syria from the Polish soldiers that fled through Romania and went to Syria instead of going to France. Because, of course, at the time, Syria was a French colony, and they were going to join up the French army there and then get shipped to France. Anyway, so I was looking forward to getting an army for that, but at the time, Warlord didn't have any Western Desert models. Perry, though, did. They actually market this. You can buy this Desert Rats Perry miniatures from Warlord Games. But with the release of the Western Desert campaign book, they've come out with their own version. So we'll do a little bit of compare-contrast. I think you might find that useful. And I do want to take a look at some of the neat features about this kit, as opposed to some you might find in other Warlord games. So this is kind of like an unboxing too, because I just got this yesterday. Perfect. So first thing is, it's got 38 men, and oops, it has an instruction sheet as well. Okay, this is good. Oh, nice. Okay, so first thing, a very nice little tutorial, if you will, illustration of how the platoon was organized in 1942, British. Now I've done this is a table of organization and equipment, basically. This helps you. This is a great guide to how to put together your units. If you want to actually build a proper platoon, this is how you do it. All right, now I'm going to be making something similar to this, but mine's set in 1941, so there are some differences. But you'll notice it has the radio men. That's the one thing Warlord Games doesn't have unless you buy the HQ set, which is 4 models. So if you wanted to have a radio man in each of your platoons, and which you would have, plus you'd also have radio men with the major or captain in charge of the company, you would need to buy multiple sets. So you'd have multiple sergeants, you have multiple radios finally, but you have multiple medics. So it kind of gets, it's for $10 for those 4 models. It can get kind of pricey when you end up with a bunch of models, HQ models you don't necessarily need. So, especially since the way they look, most second lieutenants, first lieutenants, even captains wore the helmet on the field. The HQ unit that comes from Warlord Games has a beret or a field cap, so that doesn't really fit the look I was looking for. So I was really looking for another way to do the radio. And the radio is worn on the back, so that's what this kit comes with. So it comes with 38, which is what you see here, 38 men. Actually, there's 37 men on this in the table of organization and equipment. But 38 models. There's 1 radio. You've got one anti-tank rifle in the platoon, and actually each sprue is a section. There's 10 guys in the section. So, 12 guys in the section. Yep, that's right. So it's essentially sorry, I said that wrong. There's 12 guys in the sprue, so that's essentially a section plus a couple guys from the platoon HQ. Now, let's see here. We got 3 sprues, which we'll go over a little more detail in a second. Interesting. This box came with 2 special sprues. That's the one that has the radio, an extra officer's pistol. Interesting. Yeah. And here's the phone, the radio phone. Interesting. Okay. So I've got actually 40 models in here, so that'll give me some options about what I might want to do. Now, unlike Warlord Games, the heads come attached. Let's see if you can see that. See, the head is already on the body. Right. Now, it comes with 20 millimeter bases, so I'm going to have to get actually order some 25 millimeters from Warlord Games. I'll probably use these as markers, maybe for. I'm going to use them for spotting markers, not spotting ranging in markers. I'll definitely do that, and I'll definitely start making my own chits or markers for tanks being immobilized, turrets jammed, that kind of stuff. Right, and definitely the marker. I need the marker to remind me when the NCO is dead. So it'd be nice to have that. Something this large will definitely help. All right. Now here they come with two large square bases for the weapons teams, like the ATR and the Bren Gunners. So let's take a quick look at the instructions before we dive into the actual kit, the sprues. They're actually not bad, the instructions. They show you for some of the special weapons combinations where those are on the sprue number, so you can actually build it right. And I kind of like that. Okay, now these sprues only contain Thompsons. They don't contain any Stens, which is appropriate, considering the Stens didn't start arriving until 1942-ish. Most of the units had Thompsons throughout that time frame. Now you do have some additional heads on here. So if you take your knife and carefully cut the heads off of the guys, you can replace it with heads that match the SAS or Long Range Desert Group. I'm pretty sure Warlord, you just have to pick the right head. You just put them on separately. Alright, so let's just take a quick look at the models. What's different here is, unlike Warlord Games, here all of the weapons are already mounted in the hands. So this means I'm going to have to build them and paint them with the weapons in. Normally what I do is I build the model and keep the weapons off, and then paint everything, and then put the weapons on after it's painted, so I can really get to the details on the chest. Okay, it looks like you have, which this is really neat, you have a Bren gun being carried, you have a Bren gun being fired prone, and you have an ATR, looks like it's being fired prone. So you don't have to have every Bren gun low or prone. There are two guys here. These are your gunner loader, and it could be gunner. The light mortar guy and the light mortar's loader, or it could be the ATR or Bren guy. So you have basically 3 prone sets, so that can be split between the light mortar, the Bren, and the ATR. That's good. It gives me some options. I do like that. Let's see, what else we got on here. There's the bomb pack for the light mortars. So the Warlord comes with the Piat tubes. They're Piat bombs. This one finally comes with light mortar bombs. Looks like none of them have bayonets, but you do have 4 bayonets. I don't know, looks like they're in the scabbards. No, that one's not. This one looks like it's in the scabbard, and these 3 look like they're loose. So you could have 9 of the guys in your platoon actually with, you could attach it to the end of the rifle and have your bayonets fixed. Don't know how fiddly that would be though. But all in all, it's a very nice kit. Let's take a look at how these compare to Warlord Games model. Before I do, I want to say one thing. Warlord Games is 28mm heroic, or close to it. These are 28mm scale. So, alright, so here is the Warlord Miniature. I'll go ahead and zoom in here. I'm going to try to do this. Okay. Bear with me as I try to get this thing propped up so it's easier to see. Okay. And we can use really any of these. So here, put the bases. So you can see they're very nearly the same height. But as you can see, they're not quite as bulky. The head's a little smaller. The helmets are Very similar in size, but again, a little bit smaller. The legs, arms are narrower. So again, scale. But not bad. I mean, they're not that different, which is great because that means you can kind of mix and match. They should not be out of scale or look really bad if you have a Warlord game model as well as a Perry Miniature model. I'm actually very pleased with that. I was worried that I would be stuck having to go with Perry Miniatures just to keep my army looking good. So, because I bought this for my Carpathian Independent Brigade, and everything that I need is available through Perry, and now with the latest edition from Warlord, it's available there too. But I didn't want to necessarily mix, and I guess I can the way these are. I don't know if I will. We'll see. I really like Perry's models, but as far as the other things that are available, so there we go. All in all, it's a pretty good kit. I'm looking forward to building it. So what I'll do is I'll pause here and we'll go ahead. I'll build a few of these, and we'll just see how they come together, and then we'll just call that the product review video. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to forewarn you guys. Again, because of the way I like to build models and paint them, the parts are going to be pretty separate. So, for example, when I build this, one of these guys, I'll put his leg on, I'll put his arms on because I have to, because they're attached, right? They're holding the weapons. But I'll leave the helmet off because I'm going to want to paint that. I don't want to have difficulty painting the hair and face and accidentally get it on the helmet. When I'm trying to paint the collars, again, I don't want to get it on the helmet, so I'll keep those separate. So I'll glue those or tack them on when I do the product review part of this, when it's actually being built, and we'll just see what happens from there. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to build the signaler. Yeah, I'll build the signaler on one of these sprues and probably one of the prone guys just to see how it works, because it does look like there's some options that you can use. So, all right. So let me go build some of these, and I'll be right back. Oh well, I changed my mind. I decided since this is going to be like a regular review video, I probably should do just more than a couple figures. So I went and did a lot. I did them all. Like I said, it came with a bonus extra 2 figures. So I decided to make a forward artillery observer and an assistant. But let's just kind of take a look. This is a complete platoon, 3 sections, and the command section. They give you a lot of options as far as arm positions. Some of them are actually, one molded unit with the actual arm. Some are actually molded, like this one. Oops, wrong one. This one here is molded. Both arms stuck to the rifle or the Thompson, so it's one piece. So it just slips on the body. Some are a combination of the right hand with the gun and a left arm that marries up to the hand that's part of the gun mold. It's a mix of those. And then you've got a couple like this with the over the shoulder and a free hand. You've got someone guy throwing a grenade and the rifle in the other hand. One of the things, though, if you remember the actual instruction sheet, it listed out, it showed you some of the ways you can build certain models, okay, and pointed those parts out on the sprue. You'll notice, though, the rest of the parts aren't labeled. Now, I found this to be a little bit of a problem in the end because though I had intended to do a couple conversions, I wanted a lot of them to be, kind of, if you will, as modeled or as built, and the rest would be variations around that. But the problem was, there was no way to tell which arm sets fit which torso sets because they weren't all the same. I'll go ahead and show you real quick. an example. Here's one with a Lee Enfield. See if I can get this close enough. Okay. And you'll notice on the back, you see the gap on the his left arm at the joint? That's because the front of the arm is married nicely with the torso, but the back isn't. There's a little bit of an angle there. You can see ever so slightly the same with the right arm. So on some torsos, it married up perfectly. On others, it didn't. So I'm gonna have to go back and disguise some of them, probably with like a gap filling, super glue. That's probably the best way to do it. Be simplest. So that's one thing I didn't like about the kit, to be honest with you. I don't like to have to worry about that. You get way too many, not in a bad way, way too many Lee Enfield rifles options. So you can definitely forego stuff like the anti-tank rifle or the light mortar. You don't have to do that. This kit does not have only what you need to make just certain models. You have plenty of extra bits, so that'll be very good. I've got a couple ATR arm sets now that I can trade off to someone else who may want them. Now, when I looked at the model for the actual radio operator, he's got a pose with the leg lifted up, kind of walking. The leg is separate. That took a little bit of fidgeting to get it to set perfectly, but it did. There is only one way it mounts, which is good. It helps positively lock it. But I decided to build my radio operator here with this kneeling, the kneeling guy. Oops, wrong one. That's the other. That's the forward observer. This one. Okay. And this came out really well. But what I noticed is that the way the head was canted on this, or turned, when I cut the two heads off, the head that was on that model was at a slightly different angle. So even though it was flush cut, he's got a kind of a strange cock to his head. So that'll be modified or hidden a little bit when you see the helmet on. But you can also see here how there's a gap on that arm with the Thompson, because it's just not designed for this particular torso. Sorry, let me get that right. There you go. Okay. But it came out okay. Good enough, for tabletop. Now, what I decided to do with this model was make my forward artillery observer. It's the same pose. I brought his arm up so the mic's closer to his head, and gave him a rifle on the other hand. And then what will happen is on this, there we go. The cord is now a little bit lower. I'm going to end up being able to attach that to the radio box that I'll have to build and put right next to him. The reason I have to build that is that this is what the radio looks like on a Warlord model. You can't really tell the scales any different. It looks really good. The detail inside is very nice. The khaki cover looks good. The box itself is good. And it's a nice, robust antenna. I'm actually going to mold this up with some Sculpey so I can use milliput to make some, the ones for this signalman and my 8th rifles and anybody else that I want to have a radio for. So it worked out really, really well. Now, this is the officer model. Okay. The reason you can tell it's an officer model is it's the only one that has a pistol. Because on here, the officers assumed to have a pistol. When you look at the actual orders of battle and tables of organization equipment, you'll notice that by the time we got to 42, the lieutenant of a company was actually issued an SMG. Now I'm sure some preferred to just go with their pistol, but
I went ahead and left the pistol on. I didn't want to carve it off and put the Thompson on. But it's a very certain pose you get. So I decided that, okay, that'll stand out. I'll go ahead and make some, use the other version to be a sergeant in one of the sections. Remember, this is the extra sprue that I got. Came with a second signalman with the headset. And the other officer. In this case, just added the Thompson and the waving arm. And those went together really well. Now the Bren guns I was really amazed with. I was really, really pleased with the way they did that. Because this is the way it's supposed to be modeled. And it fits in really nice. In fact, the way you can see the way the left arm actually comes up and grips on top of the stock. It works perfectly. And what's interesting is you've got options to have them carried. So you've got three sprues, and each of the sprues has this laying down Bren gun. But each of the sprues also contains a carried Bren gun that looks like this. And I wanted two of these originally. I decided against it because I realized that the way the Bren gun was designed, the arms were designed, they could go on a model and stand up against on a wall, and he shoot over the wall. If I put it down on a kneeling figure, that could be over a shorter wall. Now, one disadvantage of this kit is that all the heads are in position, and I didn't want to do a lot of cutting and turning, but very few heads were designed in such a way that they would look straight down the barrel or sights of the Bren gun. Okay, and very few of them actually were positioned so that they could be aiming the Lee Enfield. There are two Lee Enfield's arm sets that come cast with the Lee Enfield, so it's in position one piece, and it's raised to be firing. And again, they don't fit perfectly on every torso. You can see the gap there. So even though this model looks like it was designed for it, it didn't quite fit perfectly. So I'm not certain. I wish they had kind of specified in these instructions, which ones went to which, but maybe I'm just being too picky. As far as the helmets go, I didn't put any on because, again, I'm painting those separately and to make it easier for me to paint the heads and hair without getting the helmet messed up or anything like that. Just make it accessible. There are three different types of helmets. One is it's got a bear. It's a bear helmet. One's a bear helmet with a chin strap going over the top, and one has the netting over it. So there's some variety there. I don't know how often a unit would have both. I don't know. I guess I'm not really going to worry too much about it. I'm going to try to use the helmets to differentiate sections within the platoon, kind of like I did with my 10th Dragoons, where one is a bear-topped helmet. One has the net with the chin strap over the lip, the front part of the helmet, and the third section has only the Mark II helmet with just the netting, no chin strap. So that makes it a little easier to see, which model goes to which. So as my eyes get older, I don't need to worry too much about it. All right, well, that's the kit complete. You can do conversions in a lot of different ways. I didn't go as extreme as I assumed I might, because there is a lot of variety. Matter of fact, a lot of the arm positions, you can have enough variety just in the arm positions to allow you to, adapt to a running pose, a standing pose, a kneeling pose, you name it. I was really pleased with that. So, if you feel like you want to get into the desert British, Perry's a good set. I know that Warlord just came out with their own set. It's really going to be your personal preference, which one you like better. I have not looked or bought the Warlord one, so I can't speak to it. But I do like the Perry one so far, and I think I'm gonna, because of the Perry line, what they've got available, model-wise, that would work with my Carpathians. I think I'm gonna stick with the Perry side for my African army, but I'll stick with Warlord games for the rest. All right, so I hope you found that interesting or useful. Please share, like, subscribe, and comment below. Let me know what you think, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.